Hey folks, welcome to the 22nd Isometria Devlog. In this week's episode, I'll talk about some updates to the multiplayer progress, specifically the fact that the loading process is pretty much taken care of. There's still a few pieces missing, but for the most part, the client and the server talk to each other throughout the entire load process, and it's pretty much done. Otherwise, I'll be showing you the latest on getting 2 people in an actual multiplayer game. We'll see what that looks like in its current state, and some minor changes otherwise. This week's episode should be pretty short, so let's get started. The client and the server are now officially decoupled as far as saved games are concerned. The player saves are created exclusively on the client side, and the world saves are saved and handled by the server. In order to talk to each other, all transactions are handled through the networking, such that when a player connects to the server, the saved game file and its data will be transmitted to the server for loading, whereas when the world is created by the server, that world data will be transmitted to the client. Furthermore, the loading process is now officially completed. There are a few minor things that are missing from the process itself, but for the most part, it's in place. At this point in the game, multiple players can connect to the same game. However, they're kind of missing a few of their key features, as in right now, this guy who just joined the game is updating only his position, not necessarily his animation or his weapon in his hand or anything like that. In fact, his hand is actually way up here, where you load in and drop into the game world. So it kind of doesn't get updated when he gets updated. So the player I'm currently playing as will see the other player move around, but the second player to join actually doesn't quite get the updates from the first player yet, as in they just don't see them in the game world. But that'll soon be changed. But for now, the second player moves around and the first player can see him move around. Pausing the game no longer pauses the background, and players in the background can now move around while you're paused. The pause menu is basically just a save and exit and an options menu at this point. Other improvements include an encoder and decoder for sending bytes data over the network. I can now encode tuples, lists, dictionaries, enumerations, and other data structures and send them over the network and then recreate them at the other end. This has saved roughly 20 to 40% of the byte capacity that I was using previously. Also, the tile naming conventions have changed slightly to reduce the network overhead as well, but overall, the amount of data that's being sent has been reduced considerably. Anyway, folks, that's it for this week. I don't have much more to go on, besides some back-end changes and plenty of bug fixes. Next week I'll be out of town, so I won't have an update, but hopefully you'll hear from me in a couple weeks' time.